and subsequently forgotten in all but the most obscure corners of religious tradition and theological study, the Bible does contain numerous references to it. There are references to the Nephilim in Genesis and Numbers. Genesis also contains an extensive recounting of Enoch's lineage. The book of Hebrews describes how God had taken Enoch away, seemingly a reference to his being taken to heaven via fiery chariot before the great flood. Jude, meanwhile, contains an entire paragraph transcribed almost word for word from Enoch, suggesting that the book may in fact have served as an early inspiration for canonical biblical texts. Further, Corinthians 11:5-6 contains instructions from St. Paul that women should cover their heads while in church. This seemingly a direct reference to the fact that the watchers in the Book of Enoch were attracted to women with long flowing hair. This is a practice which remains in Roman Catholicism and Islam to this day. Though it was censored, even forgotten, the Book of Enoch never truly disappeared. There is something deeper behind the Book of Enoch and its incredible stories, something which goes beyond simply whether or not it is part of the Christian canon. It has been pointed out that Enoch, the seventh patriarch of the Bible, seems to reflect the seventh antediluvian king Enmendarana in Babylonian tradition. The ancient Greeks believed Enoch to be the same as the god Hermes, while ancient Egyptians had someone similar in their own tradition. The examples could continue, and so it must be asked, why does Enoch, no matter his name, keep appearing in the traditions of the ancients? The answer may go back further than the Greeks, Egyptians, or even the Babylonians, back to the ancient Sumerians. According to Sumerian texts, Earth was visited by a group of supernatural beings sometime in the distant past. These visitors are described in Sumerian tradition in a way that is eerily similar to descriptions of the Watchers in the Book of Enoch. Instead of Watchers, however, Sumerians call these beings the Anunnaki, which literally means those who came from the heavens. They were gods to the Sumerians. To modern thinkers like Zecharia Sitchin and Erich von Däniken, they were an ancient race of aliens who came to Earth. Interestingly, Sumerian texts tell stories of these Anunnaki, much like the Watchers, beginning to interbreed with human beings, creating an entirely new species in the process, reflecting the creation of the Nephilim. Like the gods of the Book of Enoch, the Anunnaki became angered with the condition of the earth and brought about a great flood. Is it possible the Book of Enoch, as well as other related traditions, are simply retelling the older Sumerian story of the Anunnaki? Consider the agricultural revolution, which began around 10,000 BCE, during which time human beings transitioned from a lifestyle of hunting and gathering to one of agriculture and settlement. According to historical record, as early as 9500 BCE, in what is now modern Kurdistan, barley, wheat, and rye were being cultivated. Oats, peas, and lentils were being grown, while goats and sheep were domesticated. Some 500 years after that, copper and lead smelting were taking place in the region, alongside weaving and pottery making. Additionally, this ancient Kurdish culture was the first to develop a script, standing as one of humanity's earliest literate societies. Some have asked how human beings could have made this jump so fast. Interestingly, the Kurdish people claim to be the descendants of the children of the jinn, the children of spirits. Is this an ancient cultural reference to the procreation between Anunnaki and human women? According to the Sumerians, it was the Anunnaki who brought advanced knowledge and technology to human beings, lending a helping hand, as it were, to the progression of human civilization. Many have suggested that this explains seemingly impossible monuments like the pyramids of Giza or Teotihuacan, those ancient monuments of extraordinary sophistication, which is completely unexplained by the cultural and social circumstances of historical record. Perhaps this also explains how human beings were able to transition from nomadic hunter-gatherers to sophisticated civilizations in a historically insignificant amount of time. Incredibly, the Book of Enoch describes an almost identical process taking place, with the Watchers mirroring the Anunnaki in providing humans with advanced knowledge and technology. They teach humans metallurgy and mining, science and medicine, how to read and write, and how to read the stars. They teach humans to wear cosmetics and make jewelry, and reveal the secrets of the art of war. The Book of Enoch 8:1-3a reads, "And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones and all coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways." Was the Book of Enoch in this way merely reflecting and retelling the story of the Anunnaki? It is interesting that the most common example given of something completely unexplained by the cultural and social circumstances of historical record, that is to say, something the Anunnaki must surely have helped ancient humans with, are the Egyptian pyramids. According to the ancient Arabian historian Al-Marizi, these pyramids were built by a king named Sarid, who lived before the Great Flood. Incidentally, Sarid, translated into Hebrew, is Enoch. Consider elsewhere in the Book of Enoch, in a chapter in which Enoch bears witness to the secrets of the lightnings and the secrets of the thunder. Some have suggested this chapter is meant to illuminate the riddles of energy and electricity. Again, this relates directly to the Anunnaki, who many believe have been trying to reveal similar secrets to human beings through crop circles for some time. In our latest video called "Crop Circles Contain Blueprints for Free Energy Devices," we talked about how in only the past few decades, crop circles have appeared across the world detailing complex mathematical equations, magnetic diagrams and motors, mechanical routers, and the field lines of an electrical charge, the work, according to some, of the Anunnaki. In fact, consider Enoch's description of his journey to meet the gods while keeping in mind the UFO sightings which often accompany and complement these crop circles. "I was taken to a kind of floating palace," Enoch said. "It was huge, like carved glass. The floor had glass plates. Through the floor, you could see the stars we were crossing." With this in mind, one might wonder if the fiery chariot which took Enoch away before the Great Flood was not in fact an alien spacecraft. It may seem hard to believe that stories as mind-blowing as these, of Watchers and Anunnaki and Nephilim giants, stories which permeated ancient cultures for thousands of years, should be largely forgotten. The Sumerians erased from the pantheon of ancient civilizations. The Book of Enoch censored from biblical canon. However, given the way these stories fundamentally reshape human history and redefine what human beings are, their exclusion is perhaps no surprise. Yet, maybe these stories were not, in fact, totally erased. Consider the well-known biblical story of Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden. Read it not literally, nor philosophically, but as an allegory. Read it metaphorically. God creates Adam to watch over the earth, much as the gods send the Watchers to do in the Book of Enoch. From Adam's rib, God creates Eve. Adam and Eve procreate, representing the interbreeding between the Watchers and human females. Adam and Eve are told they can eat anything they want in the Garden of Eden, except fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Of course, they do eat from the tree of knowledge, representative of the Watchers bringing advanced technology and knowledge to human beings, which perhaps they were not mentally evolved enough to handle. Just as eating from the tree of knowledge provided Adam and Eve with the knowledge of God, so too did the Book of Enoch describe how the Watchers revealed the eternal secrets which were preserved for heaven, which men were striving to learn. Reading the story of Adam and Eve this way, it is easy to see the parallels between it and the Book of Enoch. And perhaps that is just the point. Perhaps the people who wrote the story of Adam and Eve were simply retelling the stories in the book of Enoch in their own way, retelling the Sumerian story of the Anunnaki, as so many across religions and cultures had before them, inserting this crucial piece of human history allegorically into their own religious canon, so that these ancient records could continue to exist. What is human history? Is it that which is understood through officially sanctioned history books? Or is it something deeper, something more incredible, if perhaps forgotten? Maybe the answer has been hiding in plain sight the whole